Lots to talk about.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Welcome to Oh Brother, Not Another podcast, an official Apple podcast, and we're on several other platforms as well, sponsored by the Westport Library and the Quick Center for the Arts. And my name is Miggs Burrows.
And I'm Trace Burrows, and if you like the show, please leave a review. Today we have on Loretta Swit. She's a actress, an artist, an animal rights activist. She starred in the iconic television comedy show MASH, which went on for 11 seasons, playing Major Margaret Hoolihan. Won 2 Emmys for it, and she's been on lots of other television shows and many films. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I look forward to chatting. Are you brothers?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah. We're
Nice.
real brothers.
Okay.
And
Real brothers.
I think the only other sibling podcast is Sylvester Stallone's daughters do a podcast, and we're trying to weasel our way into their podcast. If you have any pull with Sylvester Stallone. Anyway, but we're both visual artists also. So we'll talk. I mean, people would kill us if we didn't talk about MASH a little bit, but you're an incredible, accomplished artist and have a book of your work.
Have you seen the book, I hope?
Not in person, online. I looked as much as I could. Yeah.
We're talking in the blind then. You saw it.
We saw the graphic of the cover that
I saw some, I saw several of the illustrations. I mean, you did the cast of MASH also. Is that your rendering of everyone?
No, dear. No. That's a lithograph.
Oh, okay.
The lithograph presented to us in the 10th season by Fox and CBS. It's huge and it's wonderful and really beautifully done. I think the artist has crossed the rainbow bridge, but it's glorious. And it was so appropriate, since it was my art book, to have a work of art about the cast, because I wrote, of course, an homage to the cast. So there you have it. But I hope you get a chance to look at the book. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah,
they're not illustrations. They're watercolors, and I'm told that's the most difficult medium.
Oh yeah.
Who knew? I was stupid. But, I just began to paint, and that was it. The book will tell you if I'll have Harlan send you a book. The book will tell you that I started doodling and drawing and painting when I was 6 years old, and I had my mother enter a little drawing of mine, enter it into a competition, a young person's competition, and I won. And so I've been sort of doing it all my life. And the book, of course, is a journey through my activism in the animal environment. And so it's a meeting of a lot of passions of mine, And so it's there you have it. But I would love for you to leaf through it, have your very own copy there.
Oh, that'd be nice. So you've gotten awards from many animal activist groups. What basically are they trying to change laws regarding animals? Is that the main focus? What are the main focus? Or I guess all the groups have different focuses, but just general.
I think the main focus is just to teach people about the dangers, about things that we can change and fix. Not necessarily got to do with the laws, it's got to do with behavior. We have to teach people about puppy mills and kitten mills and stuff, and the evil this is. We have to teach people about the overpopulation and how the only way to get before it, to conquer it, is to control the breeding, to snare and release strays make sure they're, we recommend spaying and neutering because we're killing millions of animals who have no homes. So to continue to produce them in these puppy mills, which are filthy, if we uncover any of them, we close them and, stop that, because they generally produce sad, sick, ill animals, and the public is taking advantage of that, not knowing. So I would say the main thrust of our shelters, of our organizations like mine, is education, teaching people the evils of what goes on behind the scenes of our domestic animals. I mean, it's more well known about our wild animals, for example, the poaching and so forth in Africa. So it's to teach people how to try to amend the way we behave with our domestic animals. It's to teach people about what our military dogs do. What our military dogs, people don't realize when they do come back, the few times they do come back, they come back with PTSD just like any other soldier. And so there are programs now to fix that, to teach them to, reinvent them, so to speak. And in many cases, some of our vets are given these dogs to care for them and be with them for the rest of their lives. So there's a lot of win-win situations. I work with the guide dogs for the blind in Israel. We raise puppies, teach puppies to guide civilians and vets, and we give those puppies free. So the main thing there is telling people about it, donations, maintenance, and get these puppies taught. And the other thing is search and rescue dogs. They're rescued and taught and paired off with policemen, firemen, and so forth. And they are employed all over the world. People don't realize what the search rescue teams do. I mean, you've got dogs digging people alive out of rubble, earthquakes. They're in tsunamis. They're out there, those teams. And part of my job is to tell people about it, so that they know what they're helping when they donate to organizations like mine. And my charity is called Sweetheart Animal Alliance. The alliance is the operative word there. We are allied with so many wonderful organizations that we help support with our donations. At the end of a good year, we give massive donations to, let's say, Bidewee or Farm Sanctuary or MSPCA, Angel Hospital connected to MSPCA, does wonderful work. So our country is filled with some very, very good organizations that we connect to and help to promote. So there you are. I didn't mean to get started on that, but the focus is, I guess, if you have to really pinpoint, is education, and then support, donations, and helping to support our mission through donations and our alliances.
Does your book profits go to that? I know you've got also a fragrance.
To my it's donated to my charity. That the sales of my paintings as well, or the clay prints of my paintings. My perfume is now available online, and I usually bring it to the autograph shows. All of that revenue goes into my charity.
And where would people go to find your fragrance and your book?
Sweetheart.org.
Okay.
Just go online. You go to my website, find out where I am, what I'm doing. You can buy the book, buy the perfume, and we take, PayPal, I guess, or whatever. But you can do it online, or follow me on any social media to find out where my next appearance is. Which, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. I actually think I'm going to be at the Hollywood show in Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an autograph show. Celebrities go there mostly for their charities, and they sign their autographs, and that money goes to donate into their charities, their beliefs. And so that's my next thing. It's in July, I believe, July 1st, which also is Jamie Farr's birthday.
Oh.
And Jamie will be with me, and also Jeff Maxwell, who played our co-main chef in the mess tent of MASH.
Wow.
And so we represent a very strong force, these three of us signing MASH books and so forth for our fans.
So I think
yeah.
No, I was just going to comment that, in some cases, people are thrown together, let's say, in a successful series, and they all feel like they're a family. And then the show's over, and I've heard actors say, I've never talked to that person again, not for any, but you guys really have remained a family, haven't you? I mean, you've always been close. We've always been a family, but it goes further than the cast. Mm-hmm. MASH is a veritable global family. I mean, we get mail from all over the world, and most of them really kind of are identical in their feelings about the group. They feel related, and I guess we are. Over the years, we were very relatable. Yeah, if you couldn't relate to the character, you knew somebody who was exactly like that character that you related to. But some of the most moving, touching memories really come from our fans saying, "I grew up with you," or "You were like my big sister," they say to me sometimes in the mail. But my most rewarding mail is from women all over the world who became nurses because of Margaret Hoolihan. So that's pretty overwhelming in terms of how you view what you did with some of your life. Like, wow, this is tremendous.
Did you get marriage proposals?
Say again?
Did you get marriage proposals? Oh, through the
mail?
No, while you were on the show.
Just great, tremendous admiration and so forth. Yeah. But no, not marriage proposals. This is not a joke.
Yeah, no, I know. But
no, amazing feelings and thoughts that they communicate. Yes. And so it's really I call it my global MASH family. I feel I have family all over the world. The content of these letters, these fan mail is just overwhelming in emotions and what they feel they continue to get from the show. MASH has no frontier. I mean, some of the stories that we see today on MeTV or TV Land, Sundance, it's all over the place. But those stories that you see today, 50 years later, are still so relevant and so moving and so totally entertaining and enjoyable. So it's really an amazing experience to have been a part of that, and it continues on. We are a 50-year anniversary this year.
That's the thing.
Endurance of that show. I remember when it was on, network television. It was like that's all people, did you see the last,
That was
episode? All
the
that
biggest audience ever. But you're right, it was grounded in human relationships, which never goes out of style if it's done well. Even though it was set in war, it wasn't a war story. It was just, that was the backdrop for these human.
Actually, it was, if anything, it was a medical story. It was about medics.
Yeah.
And their lives and how they coped with what we called meatball surgery, which is, horrific. You're standing in blood 18 hours a day, try to make an entertaining comedy of that. How initially, before it was on the air, critics were already saying, what's going to be funny about this, or whatever. And there's all kinds of humor. Ours, I think, demonstrated how it gets you through things as horrific as war. Our humor, or craziness, let's call it, came out of the fact that we had to be that crazy to survive. We had to. I mean, our producers researched real stories. A lot of the stories that you saw were excerpts from real life, were really had really happened, as crazy as they sounded. And when our producers would talk to former mashers or former medics of any units or whatever, they said, how close to the truth are we getting here? The craziness. And most often they were told we were crazier. We were crazier than you are. And when you and so our thread, if you will, with our family on MASH, we always reminded ourselves of what it was about, that the humor came out of that. It wasn't being funny or pranksters or for its own sake. It came out of the fact that we had no choice. We had to be crazy. We had to have a still with bathtub gin and horrible martinis, or we had to have crazy relationships, and we had to have tempers and craziness. I mean, the other night I was watching MASH, and my character, Margaret, shot her footlocker because she couldn't get a new one. It was damaged, it was ruined. And Jamie, our then company clerk, said they wouldn't give her a new one. The only way you can get a new anything is that it's damaged in the war. And so she took a gun and shot her locker and said, there you are.
Casualty of war.
Foot locker. It was damaged in the war. And excuse me, I'm amused by it still. It's just the idea of it. So I just think that continuity is forever. And because we were never dated, we shot MASH in the 70s and 80s, and we shot it for the 50s, the Korean War, the 3 years in the 50s. So you're not restricted by costume. Fatigues are forever, and operating room gowns or masks. I mean, they've come a long way, but they're still appropriate and current, and make people, I think, aware of some of the language you have in operating rooms, especially at the front, where you had to talk like people. It wasn't all scalpel. It was craziness to survive. And I really admire and love the show so much, and we're all so proud of it. But I think the pride also feeds into how bonded we became, all of us.
Mm.
And continues, yes, to this day. We're very, very close.
In some interview I heard of yours, you were talking about the episode, it's really, I think, affected the cast, even though it was simulated, that McLean Stevenson, was, flying home. I mean, this character was, and he died in a plane crash or shot down. And you said that you got letters saying,
volumes.
How dare
the
you
producers
kill him off? And you said
were overwhelmed. Yeah.
Right. But the thing was that you said we didn't kill him off. The war killed him off. Why don't you pay more attention? Why aren't you criticizing wars? That's the villain here.
Yeah, actually taking action against them as opposed to just saying this is bad. But yes, I mean it was so informative, and it was teaching as well. Or it had subliminally, I think, some really tremendous, deep messages that were distributed without being preaching, without preaching about it. And yes, it was a tremendous experience for the audience to lose a character they loved so much, a lead character that hadn't happened before. We all of us grew up with the great John Wayne, but his movies were all about taking a hill and not getting killed, and he came home from the wars, and the people who died in those films were background people you didn't get to know. Right. McLean Stevenson took off like a comet. I mean, people just loved him. He won the first award of our show. He won the first season a Golden Globe. And why I remember is, and this is an indication of how bonded we were, he asked me to go to the show and pick it up for him, get it for him. And so it was a great experience to be able to get up there, take the award, and talk about how he deserved it. You're picking your own award up. You don't generally get a chance to say that, but it was a wonderful opportunity to say you did good, Golden Globers. This guy is amazing. He's incredibly talented, and you did well by giving it to him. And I cannot wait to give it to him tomorrow. So it was tremendous. And then during the 3 years that he was with the show, he was really just a comet. He was on Johnny Carson's, and then he took over for Johnny every once in a while and did the interviews. And I mean, he was just everywhere and beloved, funniest man ever. I mean, he was just simply hilarious, just hilarious. And so when he left, I think we all were terribly afraid to be without him and Wayne. Wayne left in the same year, and these are two incredible characters that we're losing. And by virtue of how this happens in the Army or in the armed forces all the time, people come and go. You make relations and they leave, and so that helped us survive. And then the wisdom of the producers to not try to replace those characters, but to bring in a new kind of sound, a new kind of voice to add to the music, or if you will, cacophony of the sound of the MASH group. And I mean, David Ogden Stiers was like, wow. It was a tremendous new note to add to the 407.7s. And of course, Harry Morgan and Mike Farrell, it just twisted everybody around to make their adjustments to these new people at the 4077. New doctors, new characters, you know, and it just was a shot in the arm every time that happened. Instead of losing, we gained. You know, it was tremendous. It was, but we had, you know, you began with Gene Reynolds and Larry Gelbart, and it doesn't get better than that. I mean, these were two incredible people who were so super creative and appreciative and funny, and you know, they were wonderful for us.
Now, are you still in? Change the subject a little bit because you do theater too. Are you still? And we I don't know. You're in New York. We're in Westport.
Yes.
Have you ever been to the Westport Country Playhouse?
Yes, of course.
Oh, have you?
Of course. Of course. You ask any actor who's been acting as long as I have, if they've been to Westport, yes, they're going to say, oh, yes. But I just finished a lovely little play in Coral Gables, Florida. I was there for 6 weeks with a beautiful cast, Didi Khan and Danny Most and Adrian Zemed, and we had a wonderful time. And the theater people and the group, the audience were so kind and thoughtful. You could not buy a ticket without showing your medical card that said you had a booster or shots or whatever. Mm-hmm. And in the theater, you wore masks and you distanced. They distanced the audience, and it was beautiful. The cast was tested every other day. We had no incidents. It was bliss to be able to have that kind of connection with the audience and do this lovely play. The play is a study about friendship. What could be better? So we had a lovely time. Yes, I love theater. Theater's where I come from, so I love it. But I also fell in love with film. MASH was shot on film, so I think of it as film and not television. But I love television. I think some of the things that we're able to do on television these days are wonderful. You get and you have some brilliant talents that I wish were still with us, but we have the legacy of their work, like Peter, you know, like Columbo. It's a work of art. Watching Columbo is like going to a master class. You know what I mean? It's just, if you're an actor, to watch him work, or Tony Shalhoub, who is just totally brilliant. Monk is a brilliant series, and currently, although I think they're kind of ebbing out, is SVU. But Mariska Hargitay is arguably the best actress on television. I mean, she's remarkable, and I've watched her grow within the series. The character, I've watched the character grow, and now she's behind the desk in charge. I mean, she's just, and to be gorgeous as well. Woof, you know. But I mean, it's really a treat to watch some of these things, and they're ours now. I mean, you watch I've been, of course, around during the infancy of television. When I was starting out, I was on Captain Kangaroo, and so was Morgan Freeman. I mean, you know, we go way back to when television was, you know, the Ed Sullivan Show. That was it. And Texaco, Milton Berle.
Well, you've been on so many iconic, I'll just rattle off a few: Mission Impossible, Mannix, Gunsmoke, Hawaii Five-0, Bonanza, Ironside, The Love Boat, Murder, She Wrote. I mean, you've had episodes. You've been in one or more episodes of these incredible shows that really stand up.
Right. When I first got to California, because I was in New York, a New York person, still am, and I did about a year and a half guest starring on these amazing shows. Like my first show was Gunsmoke, and the first director I had was Philip Leacock, this incredible film director from England. In fact, one of his films is going to be on, I don't know where to direct you, but you can Google it, The War Lover, with Robert Wagner and Steve McQueen, directed by Philip Leacock. This is incredible. Can you imagine the luck? What a lucky, happy, blessed thing to happen to me, and just arrived in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I was, however, discovered, so to speak, in Las Vegas at Caesar's Palace doing a stage show with Susan Hayward. And we were doing, she was my mame, I was her Agnes Gooch, and people from Hollywood, most particularly my woman who became my dearest friend, Pam Polifroni, recently deceased. She was the main lady who cast all the CBS shows, and this agent happened to see me perform with Susan Hayward, and he was in her office and he was raving about my work, and she made a note of it. I went to see her for an interview, and she said, "I know all about you." I said, "You can't. I'm nobody. I live in New York." I'm not. No, she said, "I know you," and she called me in to read for Philip Leacock, and there I was, my first big job. But to give more credit where it's due, John Mantley, who was the executive producer of Gunsmoke, made a point of looking for new talent. He loved New York actors because they were stage actors, and he really was excited by that. And he would give them a role even if they didn't have film to show what they can do on film. John Voight got his first job on film on Gunsmoke, as I did. Well,
so many actors got their starts on those shows.
Yeah, Twilight Zone.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Look at some of your great screen stars who did television series, who went on to do great films, like Steve McQueen, we've already mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know how many series Robert Wagner has done and how many films he's done. What about James Garner? Look at what a great talent he was. And he went back and forth all the time. He went from film to television. He had these wonderful series, and at the same time did Sayonara with Marlon Brando, or television has really over the years blossomed and given us some very good stuff.
We would love to talk about this a lot longer, but run out of time.
Thank you so much.
I love all these anecdotes about
and we just want to remind our audience to get Sweetheart, the watercolor artistry and animal activism of Loretta Swit. And
it's the website is sweetheart, one word, .org. SWIT, capital HEART.org. And please do. There's a lot of little stories and stuff that you can enjoy sharing with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a great treat.
Sharing all that.
Thank you. We'll look for
Fix your phones, guys.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.